This model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast, and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got started up on the blocks. So I need you to start coming to start up on the blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive. And so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up and that's not very efficient unless if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America, we do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and then I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow, send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through, and understands where you're at, your culture, and how you respond to things, is a big help, because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it, or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard, and Lloyd is here. He's a great resource to the community.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. Yes, welcome to Startup on the Blocks. I'm going to get started here and thanking our sponsors that support Startup on the Blocks. I'll give a shout out to Florida Power and Light. They're help us out with our training platform and the Lean Stack platform. And we also want to thank Startup Science, that little light bulb you see in the middle there. They actually help us. They also provide a Startup Science platform for training founders. And we got a major partnership with BIT, Blacks in Technology. You heard of Blacks in Technology?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, well, you definitely want to join it.
You froze up on my end. Hopefully you can still see and hear me. So if you're saying something, Mr. Lloyd, I cannot see you. You're frozen right now. I'm going to leave out and come back in because I'm not sure if I'm frozen.
Sorry about that, folks. That we froze. My computer bombed out on me. It's apologize for that. That had never happened online before, but maybe once, I think, in the past 2.5 as you half years. Yeah. So, like, were you able to stay on there? I noticed you were going when I came back.
I wasn't sure if it froze up on my end too, so I went out and I came back in.
Well, it was just on my end, and
Okay.
like if it happens again, you can just continue
Okay.
to talk. I apologize for that.
It's okay.
Yes, and so I've got a lot of direct messages there from the folks from the audience. Yeah, welcome everybody. I apologize for that. Let me share my screen again. It looks like it. Yeah, I have to bring my PowerPoint back up. Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself while I'm doing that?
Absolutely. So my name is Savidra Badalishimwalamu. My business is She Speaks and Inspires LLC. I am an interview technique coach, speaker, and trainer. My professional background is human resources as well as customer service. I spent about 5 years conducting professional interviews. I have interviewed a total of over 8,000 professionals from all backgrounds, whether it's administrative, IT, customer service, medical fields, lawyers, doctors, people that are retired and tired of being retired, you name it, high school students, college students. So I'm really big on communication. I teach people effective communication skills, whether it's workforce related, and I also work with a lot of business owners and nonprofits. I did a workshop today where I was teaching people how to deliver a masterful and powerful pitch, making sure that your communication skills are where they need to be, so that when you go out to different events and you're networking with people or going before investors, you're able to get your value across in a way that makes people want to learn more about you and your business, and in return, hopefully, invest some funding and capital into your business, which we all want. So in a nutshell, we're going to talk more later, but in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me. Big on just effective communication that is necessary in almost everything we do.
Fantastic. That was a great job. I appreciate you taking care of that.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we were talking about BIT, Blacks in Technology Foundation. And so we extended our partnership with them today. And just last week, I believe we got it kicked off. And so they're one of our major sponsors, and we're going to be training Blacks in Technology members who, doing the startup thing. And so you can become a member of Blacks in Technology. There's no charge, and you get a lot of great benefits. And so that's a really neat situation. And it's all about getting more Black people into technology.
I love it.
And getting them trained and stuff like that.
I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah. So I'll put that in the link a little later. It's blacksintechnology.net if anybody is interested. But we also want to thank, we got the First Bank is one of our sponsors, and there's a rumor that another bank is going to come on as a sponsor, so we're looking forward to that. And Bantucola is our streaming partner, getting that information out on half a dozen or more platforms. And Innisfree Hotel, they've been with us. They sponsored, I think, 3 of our pitch competitions, and so that's pretty neat. So they're interested in supporting Black founders to kind of move forward. The chamber's also supporting us, and CoLab, yes. So let's see. All righty. So tonight, Elijah Rixby and Mike Michelle going to be making up their demo day pitch, and so we'll bring them on in a few minutes. So, Savidra, I think it's really important that you are here today, and what you do is exactly what we try to teach our founders to how to pitch their ideas clearly and concisely, to engage stakeholders, to support them with their idea from the idea stage all the way up to exit. So that's kind of what the idea. But it starts off with that founder's mindset, and when you look here in the center, that's basically if you're a founder and you want to start this founder's journey and come up with an idea and sell that idea to co-founders, partners, or whatever. But you have to learn how to do that, and that's what we do in the middle here. Is we kind of help you learn the skills and teach you the best practices, and then as you're acquiring those skills, you can take advantage of all the stuff out there in the ecosystem. How did you say it? Like you can get money, grants, and
there's so much that falls into that.
Yeah. So, and it's a huge ecosystem out there. And matter of fact, one of the ones that opportunities that just opened up yesterday was the $100,000 accelerator program from Florida Power and Light, and it's called the 35 Muse thing. And so that they launched their application yesterday, and so you can look in our Founders Opportunity Database and get that. But that's kind of what the idea about learning, the best practices there to move forward. And we talk about the journey as a founder. This kind of shows you the stages that you go through when you're developing your new product. But what we always say, it doesn't matter which of these stages you're at, you can get help. And even a co-founder that can actually help you build but you have to learn how to pitch that idea clearly and concisely. We're going to say that a lot tonight, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and definitely welcome everybody in the audience. And if you have any questions, just feel free to chime in at any time. We're a little informal here, so glad to have all you all out there. Yes, and so another look at the journey of a founder is through the eyes of the Startup Science program. We are partnered with Startup Science, and they offer training for each of these stages. And so you can know all the language you need to speak. Everything you need to learn is this training is there to kind of get you through each stage. So that's available to all our founders. There is a link in the newsletter that we send out each week that you can click that link and request to get added to that training. So I think this is where you come in, Savidra. If you look at this chart down here where you see the green and gold,
yes.
And so right above the business model design, you see what does it say there?
Pitch your idea clearly and concisely.
And so that's exactly where you come in. Yeah, so that's pretty neat. And so that the next phase there is where you once you get that help you need, the co-founders or whatever, you actually start building your you start working with your potential customers. And so with the lean stack, the whole idea is that you demo, sell, build. So you sell it. You demo what your idea is. That's your kind of like what's your pitch, and then you sell it, and then you go build it. And so the way the ecosystem is now and all the technology out there, you can actually build an MVP, in a couple of months. And so that's kind of what the idea is. And that curve, Savidra, is a 10x growth curve. And so that point in over here, this is where you get that product market fit, and everything's jiving good, and then you can actually scale and start to actually make some serious money. But that's the journey that a founder actually goes through. And we've been interviewing founders for 2.5 years now. And what happens is if you don't start off with a scalable business model, you end up and don't have a process to go through. You ended up wandering around, and you may be out there making some money, but the deal is if you don't figure out a plan that works, you could end up running out of money before you get to that product market fit thing, and that's not a good thing. And so what this lean startup methodology does, even though the journey is to going from that idea to the MVP and then getting those customers and getting that product market fit, it sort of leads you through that process and a more of a smooth type approach, and that's what we're all about. And so this is kind of our playbook, and I won't go into too much, but that's kind of what we do here is we get folks on the right track. We offer them all these tools in the middle to connect them with those programs on the right. And there's like so many programs, it's like unbelievable. And that's kind of what we do. So, what do you think, Savager?
I think it's awesome. I think it's a lot of resources. So I believe Startups on the Block is a great place for people to come to get resources because there are a lot of resources out there, but many people don't know about. So to be able to have a central location to go to be able to see a lot of those resources and get the help is amazing.
Yes, and the founders have to engage. We have mentors, and so I heard from one mentor yesterday that he's been trying to connect with the founder, and the founder is not responding, and so that's not good. So these people are there to help you get to the next stage of everything. So yes. Righty, Sabrina's saying the joys of modern technology, to kind of get you rolling and keep you going. So I'm going to stop sharing right there, and I'm going to bring Elijah up. You ready, Elijah? Get you get you up there. Turn your camera on and get your screen shared there.
Hello, is my connection? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. That's good. And so you just need to get your presentation in the show mode.
All right.
Okay. And let me get my timer ready here. Got to get you going. All righty. So we're going to get off and let you go so you can go ahead and get started.
Okay. Just let me know when to start.
Let's start. Go ahead. Elijah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Got you. I'll go ahead and start. Good evening, everyone. My name is Elijah Rixby, CEO and founder of Icon Tradables. Icon is an NFT and digital art warehouse specializing in bringing 2D and 3D artwork to life. Icon was born on the beginnings of a digital era, one of the most prominent and profitable being digital art. But we noticed there was a problem. As a digital artist myself, I noticed that there was a kind of unease and difficulty as far as integrating physical artwork with the new technology. So we decided we would step in and actually help artists take their physical artwork, use this digitization and blockchain and artificial reality to expose the artist to a global audience. As artists can simply go to our website, submit a photo or a scanned version of their artwork, and we actually will take it and cement it on the blockchain for them. You can see an example of that here on the screen with the physical version being on the left and the digitized version being on the right. Our current market consists of the physical art market and the NFT market. Simply think of an NFT as a digital asset. This can actually range from things like experiences, music, art, and a few other things. This has a total combined value of $212 billion. We make money through a 2% fee from every transaction on our platform. We're actually currently in development of a virtual art galleries as well as our augmented reality art frames. Our current competition consists of OpenSea, Artivive, and Rarible. These are just to name a few. Basically, think of these as digital exchanges or marketplaces, just simply places for which things are bought and sold, primarily the most primary thing being art. The main thing that really separates us from our competition is our in-house services. Everything that we do is taking place in one place. So normally you would have to take and have all these things done separately. For example, the digitization, the adding it to the blockchain, all these processes are basically taken and condensed into one place to lower the hassle of integrating this technology for the artists. Our current traction is set on a focus on NFTs, blockchain technology, and the metaverse. This is simply a virtual environment in which you can interact with people and other things. We have a published website. We've minted over 8,000 plus pieces of artwork. We're marketing on every social media platform. We're currently developing our virtual art metaverse, and we're focusing on constant innovation of new collections. Our current team consists of me, Elijah Rigsby, the founder and CEO, and other independent developers. On the screen here, you can view our contacts, that being the website, socials, and email. And at this time, I just want to thank everyone for allowing me time to present, and I'll take any other questions from the audience.
Great job. You finished right on time there. Yeah, so the audience, if you have any questions for Elijah, Savidra, if you turn your camera back on there. Yes. So any questions for Elijah, comments on there, Savidra?
Okay, I didn't know if your audience was going first. Good presentation, Elijah. So what actually started you into doing this line of work?
So primarily my background is in digital art, and I've pretty much grown around art my entire life. So I've always had a niche passion or a passion for it. When my parents loved collecting art, and me personally just looking at art all the time. And then when I found out about the NFT space, I pretty much just jumped at it. I felt like it was amazing, and it fit exactly with the passions that I had.
Okay, awesome. What are your future plans as far as scaling your business? What does that entail? Have you thought about that?
The primary thing that I'm focusing on right now is getting the technology into people's hands, making it more accessible to people worldwide. That's going to be the biggest piece to play into the scalability of my project. Being able to have people scan their projects remotely without having to risk the physical artwork being sent off is the biggest worry for me, because as an artist, I can understand not wanting to ship a large piece of artwork off for fear of it being damaged.
Okay, awesome. I'll stop. I think we have some questions from the audience. So.
Okay, no problem.
You see the one from Sabrina there?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and answer that one. So the question is, does this replace physical art? The answer is primarily no. And the simple fact is you can actually combine your physical artwork with the digital technology. So you don't have to, the digitization just basically refers to placing it on the blockchain. And this is just basically a network of information, which allows you to actually receive constant royalties from your artwork. So you could have this ID or token ID, which is your actual physical artwork, and you can actually sell it remotely. And then you could ship them the piece of art if you would like to do that. But they essentially have a digitized version of that art, of that physical artwork.
Second question.
Are there copyright? So the question is, are there copyright or trademark issues with digital art in this space? The answer is simply yes. And that is one of the biggest things that I would say that's kind of hurting the space. But the actual digitization process, allowing everything to be decentralized, meaning no one person has rights over the space, is also its biggest plus. So for example, you can authenticate this particular object and link it back to the original creator. So if someone decides to make a copy, so to speak, of your artwork, you can always find the original version. My primary ask right now would honestly be, I'm in the process of putting together a team. I think I definitely am in that space to pull more people together to kind of help this project take off. I'm really just looking to get an application made. That's my primary thing right now, or primary ask. Our target market, we're primarily targeting people in between the ages of 18 and 45, particularly middle-aged income. We're also targeting independent artists that have worked with brokerages before. We've been to a few of the different art galleries and networking with different artists to bring them on board. That's pretty much like our main focus as far. We basically want everyone. We want investors, we want creators, we want artists of any medium, digital, physical, sculptures. We just want to basically help artists take their physical artwork or digital artwork and mix it with this new space. That's the main goal. So the question is, what is your revenue to date, and are you pre-revenue? So the answer to that, so our revenue to date is around $2,500. It's not much, in all honesty. but we're looking to scale more and through working with more artists. And are you pre-revenue? We don't take any fees up front, so the answer would be no. Or actually, I'm sorry. Are you referring to what stage I'm in?
Yeah, I think that's what the deal
Okay,
is.
sorry, we're in the revenue stage. Sorry. The question is, how does your revenue model compare to the 3 competitors you listed in the pitch? So our current revenue model, in essence, instead of our main focus is making it easy for the artists. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to mix into this space, because I believe it's a great opportunity for everyone to be involved. And that's whether you're an investor, you're a flipper, you would like to just come in and make money in the space. So the primary, I guess you could say, advantage as far as how we compare is everything we do is in-house. There's no separation between different platforms or mixing different platforms. If you would like to use augmented reality in our platform, you can. If you would simply just like to upload your artwork, you can. There's no real differentiation between you having to go to different applications.
Yeah, great job.
That's the main comparison between us and our competitors.
Yeah.
And our fees are lower. That's a
Okay.
plus as well.
Yeah, great job. Any last comments, Savager, before we let Elijah go? And Mike, get ready. I can't. Your mic is on mute. You're on mute. Yeah.
Is this better?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, you mentioned the constant royalty, which I thought is really neat. I think that needs to be incorporated into your pitch in the beginning. It's important that, people understand one of the main benefits, and that's definitely a benefit. So I know you brought it up with that question, whichever question was posed, and I just think, not unless you said it and I missed it, but any kind of benefits you have, any kind of value that you can add to other people, I would just say make sure that's very clear when you're presenting your pitch, because that'll get people thinking like, okay, maybe it's something I should really check out because they see the benefit and the value in it. So just wanted to suggest that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's great. And let me share something really quick just to kind of make your point. Thank you, Elijah. I want to share this. Okay. Yeah. So before we bring Michael up, let's see here. Let me share my screen here. So one of the ways we try to communicate this idea of your communicating your pitch really well, and that also means in writing as well, right, Savager?
Absolutely, because sometimes they see the writing before they even get a chance to talk to you.
Yes, and so that's kind of what the deal is here. And so here's the Startup Science thing, and what inside this they have what they call credits and savings, and so each one of these opportunities, they have a value. Here's something, over here, what they actually give you. And so, but you have, when you're filling out the application, you have to communicate, what you're doing and stuff like that. And so these credits and savings, I call them opportunities. But like I say, if you're pitching to these companies to get these freebies and you don't have a scalable business model, you may not get it. So you kind of have to, like in Elijah's case, he needed to kind of emphasize, what's the opportunity for recurring revenue, and so they can kind of move forward with that. I just wanted to make that little small point. Michael, we're going to bring you up, so turn your camera on, please. There you go.
Dang.
There you are, looking sharp there. You got good light and everything. You can go ahead and share your presentation.
I'm attempting to, but I don't know if you have to give me access or not.
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
You
I
see
just
it?
figured it out.
Okay.
All right. Can you see my presentation?
it's coming up, and
Good.
looks like you need to go into presentation mode. Are you in the presentation mode? But we can
I
see it,
am. It says
Okay, but as long as you
yes.
can
It
get
says
before it was actually just showing the presentation and not your browser and stuff like that. But you're good. We can see it.
okay. Wait, I can fix that. Let's see. Um,
There
how are we
you
doing
go.
now?
Yeah, that's it. All righty.
All right.
Let, you can go ahead and get started.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Michelle, and I have over a decade of experience in the home healthcare industry. And tonight we're going to discuss how can we help patients avoid going without the critical care they need in their home. I'm the founder and CEO of CaringPort, and we help home healthcare agencies to collaborate in order to ensure that they can provide more shift coverage by allowing them to borrow each other's care workers that are seeking additional hours in the marketplace. Because at CaringPort, we believe that the future of home care is in shared care. Retention and recruitment has plagued this industry for the last decade, and home care owners have stated that this is the number one problem that keeps them up at night. Why? Because it puts a bottleneck on their ability to grow their business. If they can't intake new clients, this creates this lose-lose cycle where everyone loses. And because they can't intake new clients, that means that their employees can't get those additional hours that they want. 50% of employees are seeking a second job. 81% of these care workers have stated that they will work additional hours if they could. But the saddest part of this all is that our most vulnerable, our patients, end up going without care. CaringPort allows home care agencies to grow in a strategic way by providing them qualified, quality workers that are already in the workforce and want additional hours. So these home care agencies can use temp workers to take on new clients, which means an instant increase in workflow, cash flow, which therefore means that their workers can get those additional hours that they want. And more importantly, their patients can get the critical care that they need. But what's most important of this all is that, unlike our counterparts, CareImport is creating a B2B marketplace for home care agencies. So think care.com for home care agencies. Not only is this really important to our business model, it's because we don't have to tackle the problem of having to create both sides of the marketplace. Our home care agency owners have all the critical relationships that we need to make this idea flourish. They have the relationship with the clients, they have a relationship with the hospitals, they have relationships with the caregivers. So, for instance, if a home care agency is to lose a client due to an illness, hospitalization, or institutionalization, that's an instant decrease in cash flow. That also means that that caregiver that was assigned to that patient now has availability and access to hours that they now need. And that's their incentive to opt into the CareImport pool. So here's a scenario. Agency B just lost a client. Their caregiver has available hours. Agency A needs that employee. Agency A will take that employee from the CareImport pool. Agency A will pay CareImport. CareImport will take 18% of that commission. CareImport will then pay Agency B. Agency B will take a referral fee, and then Agency B will pay their employee. This market is growing at 7.9% annually. But what's most important is that the CDC has stated that we will need 1.4 million home care workers to keep up with the demand. So we will focus on 3 states, Florida, North Carolina, and Texas, because these 3 states make up 26% of the home care agencies in the United States. But we'll first focus on my home state of Florida, and then focus on Tallahassee, where I'm currently at, and then expand to the next 2 biggest geographical locations.
All right, you're at
Yes, we
time.
have traction. Okay.
You're at time, and but we'll let folks ask questions about the traction and your team and stuff like that. So you can get a chance to go
No
over
problem. No
that.
problem.
Great. And let's see, got a comment here. You can leave it up. just hey, Mike,
I'll
you
leave
probably
what
should
the
yeah,
slide.
because they probably got some.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes. So Burcell says a great idea, and this is first question here. It's up.
It's up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You saying how do you handle the caregiver fees?
I'm just gonna stop sharing it because I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. No problem.
I'll just answer the questions because I.
Okay. Good. Good. I'm ready. So, how do you handle
Okay,
the caregiver
Varcel,
fees?
how do you handle caregiver fees? Okay, so this is our third iteration of, as you know, you go through a lot of pivots. So particularly how we handle fees is the whole concept of why agencies will come to a place like this because they need additional access to care workers. There's two critical problems: overtime, right? They strategically cap their caregivers at a certain amount of hours, which is that 36 to 40 hours, because they can afford to pay that overtime, and the state mandates that they would have to pay it. So what we're doing is workers to reset them by filtering them through us. They can go to the next company. So what we'll do is we'll use a transmission holding pond, just like Uber uses, eBay uses. They never actually, when they get the money, they never actually accept the money into their accounts. They hold it and then disperse it. So essentially, that's what will be our hold it and disperse it. The agency that's borrowing the care worker will pay us. We'll take 18% of that. So let's say if it's $100, we'll take 18% of that. Then we will give the remainder of that money to the agency that actually provided us that employee to the pool. So that would be considered a referral fee. And then they would pay the employee. The employee will get all their money because they're getting compensated for all their hours. Marcel, did that answer your question? How does differ from an app like ShiftMart? Okay, great question. When I mentioned that our distinguishing difference is that we're not a B2C. All right, so they're not ShiftSmart for the most part. Apps like that are not B2C, but first thing is that they employ their workers. That's the number one thing. They employ their workers. The second portion of that is that ShiftSmart typically sends out these workers just like a temp agency to facilities like nursing facilities, long-term care facilities. And the reason why is because the markup is so high. And just like Shift Care and many other temp agencies, the markup is typically between 50 to 100%. So if an employee makes $10 an hour and I put a 50% commission fee on addition to that, that means wherever I send them, they're paying me $15. I'll take $5 and I'll give it to the employee. All right, so that's how we're distinctly different. And the reason why a home care agency wouldn't go to a place like this or care.com is because they need a trusted third party that's not competing, one, for their employees, and two, that's not competing for their workers, which means I'm not looking to hire your workers, nor am I looking to provide care to your client. So therefore, I'm not a threat. I'm creating an advantageous place for you. Does that answer your question, Sabrina?
And Burcell said you did answer his question.
Okay. What is the upside for the referring agency? Okay, so the upside is essentially same for all agencies that's on here. Recruitment and retention. I'll just tell you what the turnover situation is in the home care industry. For the longest, however long you can think, for the last decade, the turnover is 60%, which means that if an agency on average will hire 81 caregivers this year, when they hire 81 caregivers in 3 months, if they hire 10 people, they will lose 60% of them. They will lose 6 of them, which means they only retain 4. Now, the agency that I just said we had traction with is a real life scenario. She just hired 3 caregivers and she declined 8 clients come in. The reason why is because they're dealing with the chicken and the egg situation. I have the 3 caregivers. They're calling me in for more hours, but I now have to find a client that matches up with these hours, right? So what happens now? These caregivers are going to leave. So what's advantageous for them is that we're providing them with a work pool that can select those hours.
Okay, next one.
Nice job, Michael. You might want to infuse into your pitch using Shift Card or another specific company as an example. Yeah, I do apologize. I came on here, got a 3-minute, and so I had to leave out some slides, and that was it. But I definitely have a competition slide, and temp agencies, two-sided marketplace like Care.com and Sitter.com are primarily our competitors. Shift Card, they're not too big in the market, but yeah, they would be a competitor, but they would not pivot from their business model, which is they get their money based upon the percentage that they add on to the workers going into facilities. And the reason why they do that is because the percentage is higher. Home care agencies have lower margins. They can't afford those. So they wouldn't send their employees there.
So Vedra, you have any comments for Mike?
Yes, I do. I have 2 comments. So my background is staffing, so I'm very familiar with the staffing industry. So I guess my question for you would be, I know you mentioned it being, different. Is your main benefit of using your service the fact that your fees are less expensive than going to other agencies that can provide candidates? Would you say that's the main benefit?
No, that is one of the benefits, but the main benefit is that we give home care agencies access to workers that they would have to go attempt to find in the marketplace that they're already competing for. They no longer have to compete for those workers. Those workers are, one, already experienced and in the marketplace, and 2, they've already been vetted from another agency. So now all they have to do is go here, get access to them, and they can grow their business on without acquiring the employee fees and all those kind of additional fees.
Okay. And then my
And
second
then
question,
the third would be the percentage.
that's the second, okay. And then what about the screening process? What screening process are you utilizing for placing these caregivers? That's kind of an important piece as well. So what's your screening process like for you?
Absolutely. So when you say screening process, as far as like the whole, how do you determine if they are dementia certified, stuff like that, background and all those additional things?
Absolutely. So I guess one of the biggest advantages of using a staffing agency is that they do a lot of the pre-screening services, such as like the background checks if applicable, drug screening, sometimes credit depending on the position that it's being staffed for. So how does your pre-screening process compare with maybe some other places who are doing those pre-screening services?
Absolutely. One of the major things I'll add to the last question that you also asked, and it'll answer this question as well, is that we're not seeking to have independent contractors on our platform. So if you don't work for an agency, we don't want you there for particular reasons. One, because you would have already been through a pre-screening process. So all we have to do is really get that pre-screening process and tell that caregiver, that care worker, to get that pre-screening process from your agency. Because one, you would have had to keep it updated for the past 5 years. And then eventually, we'll find methods to add additional things onto that. But as far as right now, as we continuously look how the workflow is going to be, right now we're talking to labor lawyers. That's the last thing after we had that meeting with that company that got the okay that we'll buy. It's really just more so towards how do we classify these workers and stuff like that. So once we figure that out, we'll know how the workflow will go. I'll be better able to, I guess, articulate my answer to you. But as of right now, that's the training, the thought process.
Okay. Yeah. And I just think maybe it'd be beneficial for you with your pitch, maybe if you can kind of clarify what you feel like the top two benefits are in choosing Caringport versus working with, a different agency that can kind of clearly state why they should go with you.
Okay.
But you did a great job.
Varcel, so uh, as I mentioned, this is our third iteration of the project, right? When I first met Mr. Lloyd, when he first brought me on, I was a whole entirely other company. I was Care Trainer. What we use video-based documentation to provide the caregivers going into homes so they know what to do, right? That was considered a vitamin problem. You don't take your vitamins, but when you have an aspirin, you have a headache, you go take an aspirin. So we found an aspirin problem. So we were making revenue on that, and we will implement that initial technology into this. So I guess we're back to pre-revenue, right? Great answer. What is the delay and wait for time between a need for a care agency? Wait, what is the delay or wait time between the care agency and the loss of care? Okay, so hospitalization, I'm just gonna not focus particularly on the hospitalization. We're just gonna focus on an agency losing a client. Like I said, due to illness, hospitalization, or institutionalization, either one of those. The dip in that is $66,500. The reason why I say that is because if an agency, as a care worker, you're thinking with your wallet, right? You're thinking about your bills. So if the moment you lose a client, you lose 38% of your income, and you don't know how long that cycle will last. You don't know how long, if this person passes away, that the agency can bring somebody in, or how long that person's going to be in the hospital. So your next initiative is to go flowers. So that's why I said 6,500, because that means that agency will have to replace them. And I'll break down that number if you want me to, but that's the total cost of replacing that caregiver. So 6,500, and the time frame is a question mark, but it doesn't take too long. All right.
Great job, Mike. We're gonna go ahead and let you go, but you did a great job, and I think you're onto something. The audience seems to think you're onto something, and yeah, I definitely work with Savetra or whoever to kind of streamline that pitch, and yeah, and so you can keep moving forward on it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
All righty. Savetra, yes, great job. So you see firsthand and you know firsthand what challenges founders have, pitching their idea. But so I guess you also see how that there's a market for what you do.
For sure. It takes a lot, it takes a lot of practice. Sometimes you need that guidance for someone to show you exactly what needs to be fixed, what you need to work on your target area. So, it takes practice for sure.
So do people seem to resonate with what you say about, being able to pitch, tell what you do clearly and concisely, and how that helps you get partnerships, and how that helps you get all these things you need to kind of grow your business?
Absolutely, especially in regards to the communication aspect. When I start speaking about just communicating, even not in regards to specifically pitching, for entrepreneur business owners, a lot of women, I'm involved with a lot of women organizations, people just have a hard time articulating and even getting that across. And sometimes it stems from different things. Sometimes it's a lack of not having the confidence that they need to be able to communicate it, or maybe they haven't identified their full value in itself. And if you haven't took the time to do the homework to identify, what is it that you're really good at? What is your value? What can you bring to the table? And if you haven't thought that through and took the time to practice articulating that, then when you're put in certain positions, it's going to be kind of challenging for you to be able to get that information across to someone else. So it takes a lot of homework to say, to build that confidence and do the homework and say, what is my value? What am I good at? What can I bring to the table? What can I do to help others? It takes homework to get there. So people definitely resonated with it on all different levels, not just for pitching, but even for just growing your business or growing as an individual.
Yes, that's I agree. And so you can pitch like Elijah and Mike did today. You can pitch, by writing and filling out an application. And so you can pitch just in casual conversations. And so it's just a lot of opportunities to kind of communicate, what you're doing and how you bring value there. I wanted to back up so we've got an idea of what you've been doing recently, but when did you know you wanted to do something like what you're doing now, and kind of give us an idea about your journey, out of high school? What were you thinking about? And I see you spent some time in HR and stuff. So kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It was my HR experience working in the staffing industry that really thrust me into doing what I'm doing now, especially as it pertains to people who are looking to fine-tune their interview skills. So when I initially started in HR and I was interviewing people, a lot of people, and it's not just one type of age group, it's not just people from a certain background or zip code, many people struggle to have a good interview and to be able to articulate and answer what may seem like a simple question to some of us. It's hard for them to verbalize that. And again, it was with everybody. I mean, it was with older people, it was younger people. It is not just one category. And then, what kind of bothered me is people would come in, I would sit down with them, I would interview them, and they would look really good on paper sometimes. And I could tell they had great potential, but I don't think people understand the value of an interviewer, especially like in the staffing industry, because sometimes you have a person who's interviewing you, and based off how well you do in your interview, that information is passed on to someone else who's responsible for placing you on the job. So if you don't interview well, a lot of times you're not even moving on to those jobs that are actually better, the jobs that you really want. But the thing about it is, when you go into a professional interview, you don't get that feedback. No one's able to sit down with you for another 10 to 15 minutes and say, oh, the reason why you're not selected is because you didn't clearly identify your value, or you didn't answer this question correctly, or because you were 10 minutes late, anything like that. They don't tell you that. They just simply do not hire you. And a lot of times you never hear anything ever again, and you keep repeating the same mistakes. So that is why I became an interview technique coach, so I can actually sit down with my clients. We can go through the interview process. I can help them get prepared, and then be able to give them that feedback in a constructive and nurturing way so they can move forward and get better jobs, or improve their pitch, or learn how to communicate effectively at networking events.
Yeah, I got $1 million question for you.
Okay.
So how would you automate what you do to kind of, so you could actually, come up with a business model that you could actually service more people and almost service them automatically?
Well, I have a great idea for that, but I do not want to say it right now. But I have a fantastic idea for that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we do. That's what the startup world is all about. You're looking for scalable business models, and so taking your expertise and packaging it and moving forward. So I was last year, or maybe the year before, I was listening to some folks that startup that had went through a program, and they actually had to a piece of software, that you leverage your video camera, and you sit down and it would say pitch, your idea of product or service, and then it would actually grade you based on AI, with all the sentiment and stuff like that, and on how well you actually did. So that's what this one company was doing. I don't remember the name, but but that's what the startup world is all about. And there's so what makes you different is like your direct experience, and the fact you say, how many interviews do you say you've done?
Over 8,000. So, and if I can tell you my two main differences that allow me to stand out is, of course of that, but also the fact that when a lot of people talk about the interview process, they talk about just that, the interview process, but they don't talk about the prep work. So that's like me telling you what to order when you get to a restaurant, but if you've never heard of this restaurant before and there's no Google, and I don't tell you how to get there, then you don't know how to prepare. You just know once you find this magical place what you're going to order, right? So I do the preparation and the groundwork, making sure they know how to articulate their value, making sure they're actually prepared for the interview before they get there. And there's a lot involved with that.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. And so so and your brain is totally wired, for noticing that stuff. And just for the audience, and so you I'm trying to think of how to say this, but in essence, using AI, you can actually develop a data set, based on your what's in your brain, and as you interview and talk to people, and just keep track of the the video, and how would you grade them based on that, and that's how you use software to kind of do what capture that knowledge that you have. Yeah, and so so that's one of the things we want to help businesses do, is leverage these technologies to kind of move forward. And so Daryl has a question.
Okay, so Daryl says, this is great, Savita. Do you have interview boot camps, or do you work one-on-one with clients? Yes, so I do one-on-one coaches and consultings. If it's local, of course, that can be done in person. If it's not local, that can be done online, of course, with lovely technology such as this. I normally use Zoom. In regards to like boot camps, I don't use the word boot camps, but any kind of workshops or seminars, anything with larger groups. Sometimes it might be like college class, high school class, a group of women, whatever the case may be. I do larger settings as well. So it can be one-on-one coaching or consulting, or larger group settings.
Yeah. So Vercel's talking about GPT-3 as an option to scale.
And that's what you just talked about?
Are you familiar with ChatGPT?
I can tell you all the technical stuff kind of goes over my head. When I interview IT people, it's like a whole nother world.
Yeah.
Their language and their everything is just different. So you'll have to fill me in on that one.
Yeah. So ChatGPT-3 is taking the world by storm right now, and so you probably just didn't pay attention to it, because like all the colleges and schools, the ChatGPT can actually write papers, and everything for people. So, and now they're creating software to kind of detect, AI written papers, and they're using it to create do programming, computer programming, you name it, they're using it to do it. So, and a lot of the companies that are on the startups that are on the market now, they actually use Chat GP3 as their back end.
Okay, I have to look into that, I guess.
Yeah. So you can go in there and ask it what's the best tip for doing a good interview, and it'll tell you the answer, what it thinks the answer is.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's so Sabrina was asking me about that quite a while back, so she's been following it for quite a while there. Yes. So it's definitely been a pleasure having you on. Is there any other things you want to share with the audience about your business? Feel free to take some time to do it. I think people did ask a few questions, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't have a whole lot. I don't want to keep everybody past the time, but I do want to say, I guess if I could maybe share one little piece of advice, it would be, for everyone to continue to work on improving your communication. You talked about the written aspect as well, and that's really important, because a lot of times, say for example, you're doing like a grant application, that is going to be done written first, usually before you get a chance to meet anyone. And it's the same thing I tell people when you're applying for a job interview. If you take shortcuts when you do your application, a lot of people don't realize in the HR world, their job is to kind of weed out certain people. So they have to narrow down their candidate pool. And it could be a couple of things that you do wrong that can actually keep you from being called to that next step to even interview. Same thing when it comes to written information, not just verbal information. So make sure that you're doing everything you can to improve your communication, whether it's verbal or written. And yes, I will put that in the chat now, Daryl. Thank you.
Yes, so yeah, that's really great. So like I was thinking also when we were talking earlier, um, the that you you, your what you do is like in the startup world they have in the with Lean Stack we have what is called uh, the Lean Stack coach, and so you're literally digesting the taking a look at the person's lean canvas business model, and you're kind of diagnosing it just to make sure it's good. But it's literally what we definitely need is additional pitch coaches as well. Like when I was over in Poland, I ran into a guy over there in Europe. He actually makes a living, helping teaching people how to pitch.
Right.
Startups how to pitch. That was pretty neat.
Well, I mean, and it's something worth investing in because even if you pay someone a few $100s to teach you how to pitch, you have that skill that you can now take with you and you can apply it for different arenas. You know what I mean? It's not just like one thing. You may use it to apply for one grant or one pitch, and then you may have a meeting a month later, a couple weeks later. You can use it over and over again once you learn how to pitch effectively. So it's definitely worth investing in for sure.
Right. So I think folks are excited. I know I'm excited to kind of, let people know you're out there in the ecosystem, to support, founders as they're on that journey. And it literally, I don't like there's so many pitch competitions, and I don't know if you know, Sabina, they go from like a few $1,000s or a few $100s to like $1 million pitch competitions, and
Wow.
so one of the applications that are out there now, it's for $150,000 down in Tampa. We're going down there in a week and a half. Yeah. So, but there's with the startup world, if you can pitch your idea clearly and concisely, no matter what stage you're at, you literally have opportunity to get funding to build your product or service that you're building. So, like your idea that you have on how to automate what you do, you pitch it, and they got programs just for women. Google has program for women. Google has program for Black founders. And by the way, I don't know if people realize that like the Google for Black founders, they're having a question and answer session. Ask me anything about how do you get in their program. And when you get in their program, they give you $100,000. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, and you literally have to. But I can talk forever about this stuff, but I just want to make sure people. So Sabrina says you're in good shape. Yeah, I can't replace what you're doing.
There are certain things that AI just cannot do. Even if you can ask it a question, it gives you an answer. The delivery, the presentation is everything. Being able to give that texture and that tone, and you can't get that from AI for sure.
Yes. All righty. Well, thank you, and thank the audience for asking great questions to the founders today. Sabedra, you did an excellent job, and we really appreciate you coming on short notice. Next week we got a founder coming on. And I don't have it in front of me right now, but also we're going to bring Grovan Grover Brown on for a few minutes and next, because there's a new program that he has out there for small businesses as well. So be sure to tune in. There's a lot of things going on. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll see you all next week.